with the zebroids. When a zebra meets another equine species such as a horse or a donkey, this happens. Depending on what the zebra gets intimate with, they can produce a zorse or even a zonkey. Just look at these things, they're like so strange looking, but on a genetic level, things get even stranger because the two species crossbred such as a horse and a zebra actually have a very different number of chromosomes that make up their genetic code. Now normally this would be a major hurdle when it comes to two different species interbreeding, but when it comes to zebroids, they're just like, screw you, Mother Nature. On a side note, after hearing the word zonkey, I now know what I'm going to call my first child. Excellent. Trotting in at number 9 now, we've got the growler bear. If you just cannot decide which is the coolest bear between a polar and a grizzly bear, well, meet the growler bear, which is a mix between the two. Although the polar bears are found in the Arctic and the grizzly bears in North America, their habitats do sometimes overlap, and when the bears meet, growler bears are born. One possible explanation for this is that global warming is melting the polar bears' icy homes and forcing them south into grizzly bear territory. But now we are on to number 8, which is the beefalo. And now I'm hungry. Unlike a lot of animals on this list, the beefalo is actually fertile, which means they can produce their own offspring. They themselves are the product of crossbreeding domestic cattle, the cows you see out in the field, and American bison. As you can see from the size and shape of these things, they were bred for their meat production, and it turned out their meat tends to be lower in fat and cholesterol than beef and less damaging to rangeland than cattle. I bet their milk is like steroids. But on that note, we're going to talk about the wolf dog, which is our number 7, and I'm going to give you 7 guesses which 2 animals make a wolf dog. I really hope nobody got this one wrong because it is, of course, a canine hybrid of a wolf and a dog. Now, usually the parent that's a dog will be a breed that resembles a wolf, so you're more likely to see a wolf being bred with a German Shepherd than you are with a poodle. That would just be weird. Wolf dogs' appearances can vary wildly, and there is no real way of guessing what they'll look like until they're born, because the traits they inherit from either parent can be extremely random. Now, any pet that has wolf dog heritage at least 4 generations back can be considered a wolf dog, so you guys should check your family tree, and if you see a great grandmother that's a little bit too hairy, maybe you're part wolf dog. But next up, we're going to look at the narluga because that is our number 6. As you might have guessed from the name, these are the product of narwhals and belugas. Now, narwhals might look like a fictional cross between a unicorn and a seal, but they are real, and if they are bred with a beluga whale, they make a narluga. This occurrence is extremely rare though, and the only properly documented example of it happening in the wild was when scientists found one of them on the coast of West Greenland. They can be mainly identified by their massive heads, which has got me thinking that maybe I'm part narluga. It explains a lot. Anyway, we are now halfway through our mashup of the animal kingdom, and we're at number 5, which is the leopard. A leopard is the product of a male leopard and a lioness. The first documented case of this was one that was bred in India in 1910, but they have since been bred in zoos all around the world. Although the crossbreeding of these kind of cats are fascinating to the public, animal welfare groups have criticised the breeding of the leopards. Although they may look really cool, leopards often die as cubs, and if they do make it to adulthood, they have a very painful life with a number of different health problems. So just remember guys, just because something looks cool doesn't necessarily mean it is, like onyx. Onyx sucks. I've been waiting so long for a chance to fit that into a video, but now we're at number 4 and we're looking at camas. If you give a camel from Asia and a llama from South America some private time alone, you will come back months later to find a kama. Well, not quite. They were actually first produced using artificial insemination to create an animal that had the size and strength of a camel but the more easygoing personality of a llama. Anyone that's ever seen a camel will know they're a bit grumpy. Well, sadly, it didn't go to plan. Camas took after their camel parents and have proved to be very uncooperative with humans. I guess you could really say they've got the hump. Or not, whatever. Let's just move on to our number 3 now, which is savannah cats. Now if you want something a bit more exotic than a normal house cat, then maybe the savannah cat is for you. This is what you get when you mix a wild African cat with an everyday domestic house cat. They gained popularity among breeders in the 1980s, but it wasn't registered as an official breed until 2001. Unlike domestic cats, they are very social creatures. They're also bigger than house cats and can reach 25 pounds in weight. And the best part is that savannah cats actually use litter boxes when they're domesticated. I might get one just to train my cat. Damn you, Sadie. Time flies when you're crossbreeding, and it's already time to announce our number 2, which is Wolfins. Now, if this list was made purely on names alone, Wolfins would win it for me. But before you guys freak out and are like, wow, no way, this isn't real, whales are way too big. Well, you're technically right, but these whales are called false killer whales. They look a lot like killer whales, but they actually belong to the dolphin family. So when you breed them with a bottlenose dolphin, you get the Wolfin, which is exactly half of either parent. Their bottlenose parent has 88 teeth, for example, and their false killer whale parent has 44. The Wolfin child will sit right in the middle with 66 teeth. Alright, time for a quick recap of all our weird and wonderful hybrids. We've looked at beefaloes, zebroids, and wolf dogs, but the one hybrid in the world that has captured the public's attention and got people interested in animal hybrids more than any other is our number 1, and it's the liger. A liger is born when a male lion breeds with a female tiger. They are the largest living cats on the planet. Lions and tigers have growth inhibitors in their genes which help to control their size and stop them from growing too big. But when they produce a liger together, these growth inhibitors don't seem to be active, which means ligers can reach incredible sizes. Some female ligers can grow to 10 feet in length and weigh more than 700 pounds.
Starting off this countdown, we have the Zubron. This is a cross between domestic cattle and the European bison. In fact, the European bison, aka the Wisent, was once threatened by extinction, but now they were making a comeback. The Zubron were first created by Leopold Walicki in 1847, but scientists didn't breed the first fertile Zubron until 1960. In fact, after World War I, a lot of people believed that the Zubron was going to replace domestic cattle because of their low susceptibility to disease and their durability. All throughout the 1950s and 60s, scientists were working on creating these creatures in labs. Over the course of 16 years, 71 Zubrons were born. Experiments continued to run on these animals until the late 1980s. That's when the experiments were shut down. One of the reasons being they were unsatisfied with the results. But also they were scared that the Zubron would crossbreed with the endangered wild Wisent and then contaminate the whole gene pool. Now there's just one herd left and it's located in a national park. Moving on to number 9, we have the human rodent hybrid. And if you guys are liking this video so far, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. But you heard me correctly. It's a human rodent hybrid. A stem cell biologist from Tokyo has been trying to grow human cells in mice and rats and then transplant those embryos into surrogate animals. So his experiments start by injecting some cells into rat and mice embryos. But those rodents have been genetically manipulated so they can't make pancreases for themselves. His hope is that the rodents' bodies will use the human cells to then make a pancreas. Here's the thing though. While conducting the experiments, if they find that the rats are starting to develop a human-type brain, then they have to stop the experiments on them. It's part of the agreement he has with the government. They don't want a humanized animal coming into existence. Still, we can say that there are some humanized rodents out there. Moving on to number 8, we have the Leopon. Lions, no tigers, but leopards, oh my. See what I did there? A Leopon is a mix between a male leopard and a female lion. If you thought leopards or lions alone were scary, wait until you take a look at this bad boy. So the Leopon literally looks like it's fake. It has the head of a lion, but the body of a leopard. They are beautiful, but imagine being hunted down by one of those. No thank you. In fact, they can grow to be larger than their full-grown leopard father. Also, they can last 20 years in the wild. On average, leopards live to be around 23 years old and lions only 13, so that's pretty impressive. The first reference to the Leopon was made in the 1st century, but it wasn't until 1910 that someone saw one in real life, and it was actually credible. But don't be fooled, leopards and lions aren't out there mating with each other. These animals were produced in captivity. They're very unlikely to occur naturally in the wild. In our 7th spot today, we have the Jeep. Or Geep. I don't know how you pronounce it, but I'm not talking about the car here. This is a mixture between a goat and a sheep. It's pretty cute, not gonna lie. But breeding the two can be a very risky game. Very few babies are carried to term, and even fewer manage to survive birth. Those that do survive have a bunch of genetic abnormalities. But people still cross the two together, which is sad because chances are most of the time it'll have a negative outcome. Coming in at number 6, we have the hybrid lions gone wrong. This is a sad example of breeding gone wrong. In 2006, nearly 24 crossbred lions in northern India were dying after they developed a mysterious disease. The disease was a result of inbreeding and a weakened gene pool. Nearly 80 lions were affected by this. The lions being born had weak hind legs and had difficulty walking and couldn't even run. They also had failing immune systems. Now, there's a wildlife law in India which prohibits the killing of animals. So basically, they just had to wait for these lions to die a slow, painful death on their own. It's a very tragic case of breeding gone wrong. Those poor lions. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the see-through frog. Scientists in Japan have managed to create a frog that has see-through skin, which is really freaking creepy if you ask me. So they created this frog by crossing two kinds of recessive color mutant frogs together. They did this through artificial insemination. And the offspring ended up producing frogs with translucent skin. Now there's a lot more to it than that, but that's just the simplified way to describe it. Now they actually have a good reason for doing this. Having frogs with visible organs means you don't need to dissect them for medical research. Instead, you can just observe by looking through them. So this reduces the need for dissecting and killing innocent frogs. In our 4th spot today, we have the glow-in-the-dark cats. No, I am not making this up. It is a real thing. Basically, these glow-in-the-dark cats were created in an attempt to stop HIV/AIDS. So the virus responsible for HIV in humans is similar to the feline immunodeficiency virus, FIV. So what they did was insert a gene that produces a fluorescent protein called GFP. This is produced naturally in jellyfish, but it's what gives these kitties a green glow. Then they also inserted a gene that blocks the FIV virus into unfertilized eggs of the cat. When the cat gave birth to the kitties, if they glowed green, that meant they also had the anti-FIV gene. They hope that these experiments will one day lead to them finding a way to make humans resistant to HIV. In our 3rd spot today, we have the infertile pink bollworm. In 2005, the pink bollworm was becoming a huge problem in cotton farming. These invasive pests lay eggs on cotton balls. Then once they hatch, the larvae eat the seeds and damage the cotton fibers. It was getting so bad that scientists came up with this really weird way to get rid of them. Basically, they created sterile pink bollworms. They did this by treating a bunch of moths with radiation. The radiation would damage their reproduction cells, but it wouldn't kill the insect. That way, when they encountered a normal pink bollworm and the two mated, bam! It would create an infertile pink bollworm. So for 4 years, 2 billion pink bollworm moths were released into Arizona's cotton fields. They literally would fly an airplane above the fields and then drop millions of these moths down onto the crops. And thankfully, it worked. Imagine if their plan didn't work. There would be billions more pink bollworms out there. It could have destroyed the crops completely. Even the scientists admitted that it was a very risky move. Coming in at number 2, we have the killer bees. Did you know that killer bees were accidentally created by scientists? See, this kind of stuff scares me. Like, what else have scientists created by accident? Basically, in the 1950s, a biologist was commissioned by the Brazilian government to create a species of bees that would increase honey production. But along the way, things went wrong. The biologist himself didn't have much experience with animal breeding. In the end, bees from southern Africa and local Brazilian honeybees made it, and it produced these angry killer bees. And then, of course, thousands of these killer bees accidentally escaped. Now, they get their name because when pissed off, they have been known to chase people down for more than a quarter mile. And on top of that, their stings are very painful. So these bees were literally created in a lab by accident. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the rabbit man. For this one, we have a hybrid between a human and a rabbit. Again, I'm not making this up. The first successful experiment was done in 2003 in Shanghai. A team of scientists managed to fuse human cells with rabbit eggs. In the United States, scientists have been trying to do the same, but their attempts have been unsuccessful. But in Shanghai, they managed to pull this off. This experiment was done to see if it could be used to grow cells or tissues for transplant patients. But in the end, they only allowed the human rabbit to develop for a couple of days before they had to destroy it, and then just harvest it for its stem cells. Either way, they still created a human-rabbit hybrid.
Coming in at number 10, we have the devil lamb. In South Africa, inhabitants of a village were shocked and disturbed by the birth of a human-looking lamb. Villagers were convinced that either bestiality or witchcraft were at play when the human-looking lamb was birthed, although sadly the creature was stillborn. While DNA samples confirmed that the creature was indeed a lamb, many locals were convinced that the dead sheep was the work of the devil, or a bad omen of things to come. Check out this goat at number 9. In April 2016, a kid was born that looked like an actual human kid. A farmer from Felda in Malaysia posted the image of an animal on social media. Unfortunately, the baby goat didn't live very long, but it did indeed look like a hairy bipedal mammal. Some were saying that the goat looks human, but to be honest, I think it looks more like a baby Chewbacca. It definitely has human-like lips and a nose, but I don't know, I'm just sad that this little guy didn't make it. Coming in at number 8, we have this cow. A cow born in India with human features caused a stir in 2017. Cows are seen as sacred in India, so when a calf was born with human-like features, people thought that it was an avatar of the Hindu god Vishnu. Locals flocked to see the calf, which died shortly after birth. Despite being dead, Hindus placed the animal in a glass box and laid it with floral garlands. One worshipper said that God has taken birth in the body of a local cow, which I personally think is a bit extreme. He said that a lot of people were there to worship the cow and seek his blessings. We have another goat at number 7. This one was born in Argentina. A genetic disorder meant that the kid was born with a facial deformity. The farmer who owned the animal presented it to cameras and video footage was uploaded to YouTube. Okay, look at this dog at number 6. Like, really look at it. Look at it in the eye. Are you guys creeped out? Because I am. Tonic, the poodle shih tzu mix, has a very human-looking demeanor about him. Like, he looks like he knows things. Pictures of the pooch went viral in 2013 as his shelter photos were listed on Pet Finder. He's definitely very cute, but when I look at him, I feel like he knows more than he should. Like, who was this dog in a former life? Okay, so this is animals born with human faces, but this animal looks like it was very much born with specifically human teeth. We have the Prometheus succulus at number 5. This squid looks like an angry killer ready to bite, like hung, hung, hung. Who knew these critters were living down there screaming silently into the ocean? While it looks like this squid has a human set of teeth, these are actually folded lip flaps. Gross. This squid might be confused if it saw us too, but it's unlikely that we will ever come face to face with it because it lives so far down in the ocean. Coming into number 4, we have this cat with a human face. Although I say human face, it actually kind of looks like a semi-human werewolf. Bizarre images of a cat with a human-like face were circulated on the internet in October 2014. People were claiming it was taken in Western Malaysia. Footage of the creature was also recorded on a phone camera. The creature kind of looks like a cross between a cat and Gollum from Lord of the Rings. It was on all fours and it had fangs, but like kind of a very human-like face. The image caused so much fuss that local police in Malaysia were forced to make a statement saying that the creature was fake. Although, was it actually? Meet this pig at number 3. Now this story actually comes from our sister news channel Inform Overload. Back in 2014, Dave Warple reported that a pig had been born with a human-looking face in Vietnam. First reported on Tomo News, the animal appears to be a pig with a decidedly humanoid appearance, but people in Laos, where it was born, speculated it was the work of bestiality. Which, I mean, that just isn't how things work. To be fair though, I don't really know how anything works, and I'm ready to question anything I ever thought was true here at number 2. We have this pig with a human face and a human-looking penis on its head. This piglet was videoed gasping for air and was widely shared on Chinese social media. The piglet was the only one of the litter of 19 to have such an unusual deformity. It seemed like it had a human face with the addition of what looked like a flaccid penis on its head, which is extremely unfortunate. Eyewitness Wu Kang was one of a dozen people who went to see the piglet, and he said that it actually really did look like it had a penis growing out of its forehead. There it is. I can't not look at it. Finally, at number 1, a weird but very cute and happy story, we have this lamb that looks like an old man. In 2015, a female lamb went viral when she was born in a Russian village. Sheep are born in Russia all the time, so what was the big deal? Well, this lamb looked like a grumpy old human man. The Russian farmer the lamb belongs to said that she had normal looking parents, it must have just been a deformity. Residents of the town flocked to see the sheep, although it is said that the lamb scared the children. The farmer said that he thought that she was a beauty and refused to sell her to the local circus, and like, isn't that love? So then